Hi there. How are we?
Good.
How are
Good
you?
deal.
Morning.
Thank y'all for doing this. I think it's great to have you on. I tell you, I've really missed it being able to be out and around the state, and I'm looking forward to us getting past the mask mandate and people getting vaccines and getting back out there. But we did want to get this small business roundtable in, as I am doing so many of these virtual meetings with our county mayors and employers. Everything continues to come around to please don't let them do a $15 minimum wage. So let's do this. Before we get going, I want to have everybody go around and introduce themselves. John, I'm going to start with you and then everybody jump in.
Okay, my name is John Hargett. I'm the owner and president of Pavement Restorations, which we're located in Milan, Tennessee. Also have locations in Nashville and Knoxville. I represent 6 other companies with employees as well that I'm the owner in, so including manufacturing operations. So altogether, we have over 200 employees in our multiple businesses. So this is a very important topic to us, and we appreciate the opportunity and your position on things. And I want to also say real quick that your staff has been great to work with. They've been great to communicate with. I had a similar meeting with Representative Kustoff a couple of weeks ago, and both of y'all have been very easy to communicate with your staff. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay. Jim?
Jim Caldwell. I'm with Lads here in headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee. We also have a Tennessee office in Knoxville, and then Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, and Baton Rouge. We have about 60 employees in the Tennessee market, and we sell golf cars, mowing equipment for golf courses, and then to other industries as well, from commercial to hospitals, whatever. And so we appreciate the opportunity to discuss these topics. They've been very concerning to us going forward. So just as we try to make investments with our business, this is the minimum wage, as well as other things in the packages that's coming out of Washington are very concerning to us. So
yeah. Thanks. All right, Mike, have at it.
I'm Mike Niederhauser. I'm a president-elect of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce. I had a retail business in Tullahoma for 39 years. I am on the board of directors of First Vision Bank, in which we have about 100 employees. And then I have Mike Niederhauser Rental Property, and we contract out most of our work. We don't do employees anymore, but we contract out.
Sounds great.
And I really appreciate you allowing us to do this and help getting our views across. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Terry.
I'm Terry England, the president of England Manufacturing in Newcastle, Tennessee, which is about 40 miles north of Knoxville. We do upholstery furniture, custom upholstery furniture. We have 1,100 manufacturing workers and another 250 fleet operators on the logistics side. So obviously the minimum wage is a huge issue for us, not that we have minimum wage employees, but the increment that the regular employees will expect once this takes place. So obviously that's why we have such a big concern. So thank you for letting me join in this morning.
Sure. All right, Danny.
I'm Danny Todd from Monterey, Tennessee. I'm about halfway in between Nashville and Knoxville. Own a small town grocery store where we just, we've got like 19 employees is all, but probably 9 of those are part-time, school kids and college kids, 10 full-time. And, I would have a big hard time staying in business if minimum wage went to $15 an hour. I would have to cut several employees and just kind of basically try to do it myself, and my family.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Listen, I appreciate hearing from you all. Like I said, the impact we hear a lot about from our county and city mayors, what it would do to them and to the necessity for them and their county commissions, city councils to raise taxes. And this has come up in nearly every single meeting that we have done with our elected officials. And many times they'll talk about likewise the impact on businesses. So Jim, let me come to you. Talk to me for a minute about what this would do to your cost of doing business.
So minimum wage, we don't have anybody under $10 an hour, but we do have a lot of people from say $12 to $14 an hour. And so when we calculate the minimum wage changes, how it impacts us, it's going to be about $113,000 a year in just gross wages, plus expenses associated with payroll. So $125,000 to $130,000 a year, right off the the jump. And so
that's less profit, less ability to pay bonuses.
Right.
Yeah.
So then where do we go from there, as far as recouping that? How do we go about recouping that? And then you add to it the fuel costs that we're expected to incur, which is another $50,000, $60,000 for us, maybe 75 taxes. It could easily be in a year's time, $250,000 in added expenses with essentially we've got to institute some kind of plan to recoup that. So is that cutting people, cutting hours, increasing prices? Somehow that's got to be recouped. So that's the challenge.
John, let me ask you about that. You all have, is it 200 employees that you
Yes.
said?
Yes.
And then do you use seasonal or contract labor also?
We're a little different in the construction business. We actually work year round, so I don't lay anybody off. We
Okay.
work around some of our capability to be able to do asphalt and concrete work throughout the state as restoration services. It's different than normal asphalt contractors. So I'm working people around the calendar. So the biggest impact to me in this is having an entry level position. A lot of our wages, our average wage is probably $18 an hour. But we do start people at a $12 to $13 an hour range, positions that are not necessarily tied to wage scales, but just as entry-level positions. So not having a zone that is wide enough to be able to move people up, incentivize them to do better, is going to be very detrimental to maintaining the workforce, because if everybody's on more of an even number, then it's hard to have separation by employees and incentivize folks that are doing better work. And it gives me less opportunity to take a chance on somebody that doesn't have the skills to come in the door. If we raise the wages, then I'm gonna have to require that they know what they're doing when they come here. And a lot of times I like to train people to do what we do instead of somebody bringing in things that may be wrong for our business. So I just think that it's the incremental difference in what, as somebody else said, having wages that are already in $10 to $12 an hour or whatever, making this is going to affect the whole workforce. I've often said that the one who's going to be most affected by a $15 an hour minimum wage is the guy who makes $16 an hour.
Yeah.
So.
Amen.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, let me ask you about this, because I think that probably you use a lot of teenagers probably come into work. I talk to moms all the time, and the first job that their 16-year-old wants to get is stocking shelves at the local grocery store.
Yeah, I hire a lot of school kids and college kids, and a lot of times whenever I hire a school kid or one in high school, they will stay with me through college, because I work around my schedule and stuff like that. And it would just about eliminate that. I would just be, I've got like 10 full-time employees, and none of those for instance, I hired 6 of my high school kids have ended up staying with me and learning a trade of meat cutting or produce manager,
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
that. You know, they grew up here, they become like part of the family, and they're making 11, their pay scales 11 to $16 an hour, you know. So
Mhm.
went from high school learning how to cut meat, how to manage produce, or be a store manager, assistant manager, and they're making pretty good living. But if that minimum wage goes up and I have to pay these school kids, you know, 50, then I can't give those people raises, and you know, it's just going to take money out of their, and I would just have to eliminate these school kids, you know, and that's a big part of growing up. You know, you got to get out, start learning somewhere. You know, it's just I would hate to see it happen. I sure would.
Well, yeah, I talked to so many moms, and of course, being a mom, I remember how important it was for my kids to get that first job. And somebody's taken a chance on these young folks to give them a job and to teach it. And that's something, so many parents talk about wanting their children to get a job with somebody other than them and get that paycheck and look at that pay stub.
Manage your money. Learn how to save your money, buy a car, and
Right.
And a lot of these kids, they need this job to help their family.
Sure.
And that plays a big part. I mean, it just, a lot of my kids in this town, they need to work.
Yeah, Terry, talk to me a little bit about what you all. I know you do a lot of workforce training because of the skill set that is there with you all. So talk a little bit about the impact this would have as you bring those employees in, as you hire them, move them through their training, and then move them to the manufacturing floor.
Well, obviously, we have the same concern that each have spoken to. Fewer candidates would be brought in. Certainly, we would have to pay closer attention to those that we believe have potential, instead of just taking on someone that has zero experience and training them all the way through the process, which we've determined cost about $5,000 to get one up to speed at making production. Currently, we, larger than the guys that are there on the call, we have a $44 million payroll into this community. If the minimum wage goes up, we have the same concern that each of these gentlemen have. We don't have $10 an hour people. Our average wage is $13.84. If the minimum wage goes up, they will expect that $13.84 to go to $21. They will expect that. That is an $18 million impact to us annually. That adds $44 per unit to our production items, and we build over 400,000 a year. That's the impact it will have compared to the China imports. $50 increase for us is $100 retail. You add freight to it and some other cost, it could add $200 retail in the US. Compared to China imports, we become non-competitive, plain and simple. And it will be a fact that our employees will expect the same increase as the minimum wage moving. We just gave an 88-cent an hour increase right before December because we were just struggling to recruit, bring people in. Did it across the board. If they choose to do a minimum wage of $1 an hour or $1.50 an hour and spread it out over the next 5 to 7 years, we could plan, we could incorporate, our cost structures could accommodate it. But these massive moves is going to be detrimental. We have production ticket workers that we bring in. All of them are part-time. Some of ours are high school and college students. Now I bring in 10 to 15 of those every Monday evening to run production. They go to $15 an hour. There's going to be 10 of them. There can't be any 15. You cannot have anyone that runs out of work. They have to be busy. So that's the impact that we're going to have. The overall impact for the manufacturing, it has been a challenge for the last 10 years to stay competitive with the China imports, and they're coming in by the container loads. But because of our customization, we've had an advantage. These kind of wage increases will be detrimental.
And I would assume that what they're talking about with gas tax increases and the impact of energy cost would have a tremendous impact on you likewise, just as the minimum wage would.
The fuel increase that we're seeing currently on the diesel, obviously gasoline's moving unbelievably fast. Diesel fuel's the same way. We run 1 million miles a month. You can talk about fuel surcharge being added, but that always is to the customer. Then you have to get the trucks home. Then it's fair market, whatever's available. That will be a huge cost increase to our dealer base across the country.
Yeah. Mike, talk with me a little bit about First Division and the employee base there, but also when you look at a minimum wage increase, you use a lot of independent contractors, sole proprietors. And
Right.
I would like to hear what the effect is there, because I think we've got people that are working in construction and retail and manufacturing, and this small business sector, this independent sole proprietor, self-employed is the person that you're dealing with. So what are you hearing there? And also touch on that fuel cost issue for me.
Oh, the fuel cost is really hurting now. I went into Walmart this week and noticed a sizable price increase already just on the items I was buying. The fuel cost, they're giving a raise to people, and it's shown up in their prices. So the fuel cost is going to be terrible, and not only terrible for us, but it puts us back funneling money to the Middle East. Some of those folks fund terrorism with that money, and that could flare up too. Very, very important thing. The minimum wage at the bank, of course, we're like most of the people have said, that's most of our employees are not minimum wage employees, but we will have to have an incremental increase, and that we've got interest rates moving in different directions, and it's tightening down our margins and making it tougher for us to compete, along with the other businesses that have been talking about that. But we're a business bank. We do have some customers that are just regular commercial customers, but retail customers, but most of our people are commercial. We loan to small businesses. That as a community bank is really our purpose. And a lot of those guys are going to have issues. They're already having issues with COVID. They're already having issues coming down the line with the gas prices and things like that. And you throw a minimum wage increase on that, it's putting a strain on their margins, what little margins they have. Here in Manchester, a lot of hospitality because of the interstate. I spoke to a lady yesterday, and she said that their COVID issue, they've lost almost $1 million in sales in one unit here, and her sister in Murfreesboro has lost over $4 million. They've had to lay off employees, so their margins are strapped. And then to turn around and have to pay the ladies that clean the room and the front desk, move them to $15 an hour, it will have an impact on the price that they're able to charge, which will, with gas going up, people may be traveling less. It's going to have a huge impact to our community.
Got it. Well, I appreciate each of you taking the time to weigh in with me. It is so helpful to hear from you all. You can be guaranteed we're going to continue to fight this push to go to a $15 an hour federal minimum wage and fight these mandates. Also pushing back on this Green New Deal and the way this is upping cost. I was talking to somebody this weekend, and they have delivery, and they said gas had gone up 30 cents a gallon, what they were paying to move products around through their logistics. And then also, Terry, I know China is a big impact, has that on you. We're going to continue to push back on China and continue to make people aware that these companies in China, they are partners with the Chinese Communist Party. So we appreciate hearing from you, appreciate your time today, and wish you all well. Stay safe, be productive. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.